Hey y'all, it's Wahima. I'm live. I'm not going to show a video of myself because your girl is looking haggard. So my head is hurting and I didn't put on any makeup, but I did watch the show. So we're going to get into it. If you hear a little bit of background noise, it's my fan because I have a slight headache and being cool makes me feel better. All right, I'm gonna let a couple people get into the room right now. Hello to those of you guys who are in the room. We've got Raven, JW, ZP, and Glinda in the room right now. And we've got Marsha Endeavor in the room. Hello, hello, hello. So this was a lively episode. I'm going to start talking about these couples because they are the boring ones, and then we'll get to Chris and Paige last because I want some more people to be able to get into the room. But let's just start. Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of Married at First Sight. This is season 12, episode 5. It was a magical night, something like that, girl. Not sure. Okay, so this was a really good episode. I mean, this whole season is starting off real strong, and unfortunately, it was a good episode because of the drama involved. But first, let's start with Ryan and Clara. All right, so we've got Ryan and Clara, and we've got Clara's eyelashes. You know, I've noticed a theme. There's 3 of these women have eyelashes, and a lot of their eyelashes, the glue did not hold. Okay. There's a lot of wonky eyelashes going on. There's a lot of different choices in how these eyelashes are adhered. The lengths of them, I think, are a little extra, but we'll get into that. So in the morning, they wake up, and I honestly cannot remember their very first scene. So if you do remember, put it in the comments if I forget about it. But the first thing I remember from them is them going to visit the dolphins and me having sort of I hate to see dolphins in captivity. I hate to see any animal in captivities besides like little small fishes. So like zoos and aquariums are sometimes hard for me. Well, zoos for sure. Aquarium, depending on the size of the animal. I just feel like if you're a big ass animal, you should be in a big ass body of water, So anyways, they've got these cute dolphins and they get to pet them. And they get to feed them, and Clara almost got her finger snapped off because she, put her fingers in instead of just tossing the fish to the dolphin. And this couple seems like Clara is the interesting party. I'm not interested in Ryan at all. He seems just like very square and boring. So they have their little moment with the dolphin, and then they go to have like a talk where they're in like an aquarium sort of fish tank area. And the lighting is blue. It's kind of cool. And they talk about their kids and what they would want to do as far as religion goes. And Clara is saying that she would like for her children to be able to try whatever, and that she wants them to know that she is 100% in support of their choices. And the edit makes it seem like Ryan is like, yes, definitely, but within limits. And she's being more open-minded because she says that she didn't have a lot of choices and wasn't given a lot of opportunity to do a bunch of things. So, or she was. Like, that's one of the good things that she learned from her family. But another thing is that with religion, she's okay with her kids going to church, but she wants them to have the choice about it. And Ryan says that he thinks that the church is necessary to create a moral foundation. And this is what I find interesting because I, for a very long time, did not think that people who, and this is what my church specifically taught. I went to an AME church. And so for the longest time, I thought that people who weren't in the church, who didn't go to church, except my father, because my father never went to church with us on Sundays, that they just were out there just doing the devil's work, like that they were being tempted by the devil daily, and that they didn't have a moral compass. Like, I did not understand how people, besides my dad, who did not go to church and who did not read the teachings of the Bible weren't out there just killing people. So um, it's such an interesting lesson to learn. Like when I met my first atheist, I was in college and she was raised atheist. Like her parents raised her that way. However, she did go to Catholic private school because it was a better school. But she ignored all of the religious parts of it. And I was like, how are you not like out there just like doing stuff? And she's like, well, I have morals. And I was like, I didn't know that the word moral and morality could be separate from the Bible. So I think that Ryan might have been having a hard time understanding that people can be moral without having that, church baseline. I will say that depending on the kind of church they go to, I do think I think the black church is, while it can be very damaging, it is an interesting and can be fun, like, thing, like a black experience, like a very specific American black experience. And I even though it was problematic for me, am grateful for my experience with it now that I think back on it. But anyway, so that is a conversation that they are going to have. I was the kind of church goer that went, 2 to 3 times a week. So that going to church just only on Sundays is a weird concept to me. But I wish them the best on that and, their future endeavors when it comes to that. They also talk about how she is messy and that he is not. He's very regimented. And so she's like, I'm content with being the person who's kind of messy and all over the place as long as you don't judge me. And as long as you, are patient with me, and I'll be me and you be you. And I just think that Brian needs to open up his rigidity a little more. Like, I get being organized. I'm an organized individual and I like to do things when I say I'm going to do them, and I like to plan my days. However, in order to not drive yourself crazy, you do have to kind of open yourself up for change and for things to be not as you plan them to be, and especially when you have kids. So I really do feel like he needs to let that go, because he's going to, cause himself a little bit of issue when he's trying to have kids and he expects things to be, regimented, because, kids will just do whatever. The next segment with them, I think that's it. I think that's it with them, besides what ends up happening when the couples all get together. But yeah, so it looks like Clara and Ryan so far are getting together. Again, if you remember anything that happened that stuck out in your mind, please go on ahead and let me know. But until then, we're going to move on to the next couple, and that is going to be Haley and Jacob. So these two are getting along a lot better. I feel like Haley is she opened up a little bit in this, and he's still being his quirky self, and she's still low-key trying to make fun of him for it, but I think it's all kind of playful. So the first scene I recall with them is them eating lunch and her eating salmon, and him just like grossing her out by eating raw onions. And personally, onions give me migraines. I have a migraine right now because I think onions got somehow put in my food and I didn't realize that. And so I woke up with a headache, with a migraine. And so I was just like, no, Jake, stop that. I definitely wouldn't be able to kiss him. So they had a conversation that was a little bit more about their day-to-day thing. She's more of a yoga person. He's more of a squats and arms and backs and, each day type of person. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going to really be working out with you, so that's not an option. Which I found to be a little, like, come on, sis. Like, at least pretend you're going to work out with him a little bit. But, I mean, not pretend, right? She's being honest. And he says that he would do yoga with her sometimes. And if she would like light resistance lift with him sometimes, which I thought was a really nice balance. And they also just, you can tell that Haley is just really apprehensive of this process. She's opening up. However, she's still very like, I don't know, I haven't had a boyfriend in 7 years type deal. And I'm just like, girl, get over that. Get over that. She asks him what his favorite car is, and he says the DeLorean, and I'm like, can you not do a car that's made up? I mean, I know that there are DeLoreans out there, but like, is your favorite car like to drive in real life? Do you have a DeLorean? Was my question. I'm gonna drink some water. And so he's just like that's what makes him happy. That is what, he's trying to win her over with his, charm. That's his charm. So he's banking on that. He's not going to try to do something that he's not good at, which I understand. And she's kind of laughing at him, not laughing with him, laughing at him when it comes to things like that. I don't remember what kind of car she said was her favorite car. And he's a little awkward, but you know what? I think that there's potential in that. Like, I guess when I think of marriage, not in the strict Western sense. I think of it as more like a partnership. And if your partner isn't everything to you, you can also have your friends. And as long as, you guys have the similar goals of raising a family and supporting each other and the sex is good, like, I get it if, as long as you don't hate each other or like you have mutual respect, you think of them as a friend, like, why wouldn't it work? But I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't think that it needs to be the end all and be all. And I think that I know that I would be way more open to it unless like everything they did disgusted me, unless I wouldn't be friends with them. But I'm like, I would be friends with Jake, even if he was a little awkward. We could be friends, like, and if we could be friends, then we might be able to be lovers. And if we could be friends and lovers, then we could definitely be married. So that is just what I think about them. I don't think there's any other scene with them that I can recall. Again, if you can recall it, like, bring it up. All right, so let me find another picture to put up of these folks, and we can move on. What is this one? Brianna and Haley? Nope, that's not it. What is this? Yeah, let's talk about them. Okay, so then we've got my favorite couple is Brianna and Vincent. So they have a good morning and they talk about how everything has been going well with them. And I don't quite remember their conversation initially, but I do remember their date. Oh, yeah. Let me go back. Okay, so they wake up and they have like a good breakfasty moment. He brings in the carafe of food, or the tray of food, and they just talk about how much they really like each other and how much they understand why the producers put them together, or the experts put them together. And then they talk about, she asks the question about what kind of house they would want, like high-rise townhouse or apartment or something like that. And he ends up saying that he would like a townhouse because it has more space and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, what if I want a high rise? And he's like, okay, there goes that bossiness. So my question was like, girl, why'd you ask that question? Like, also a high rise. I mean, I get it. It would have to be like a spacious high rise. Like, there's some good high rises in New York City that are good and spacious. But if I'm going to live in an apartment, if I'm going to live in space in the sky, like, it needs to be big, because I grew up in a house. I live in a house now with land around it. And my idea is that I want to be able to send the kids and the animals outside and me not have to go with them. And when you have space in the sky, you have to really trust your neighborhood to be able to send out. I mean, you definitely can't send your dogs out, but like to send your kids out, like, I want to be able, they need to go in the backyard, that's how I feel. But anyways, so he was talking about how bossy she is, and she's like, yeah, I guess I can be bossy, and, I want things my way. And I get that. Like, I'm somebody who is considered to be bossy as well. And it's not that I want things my way, is that I know that my way is more organized and you'll get more bang for your buck and it'll be safe and everybody at the end will be happy. But if you want to do what you want to do, you've grown. So, I mean, now I'm not as bossy, but when I was little, I was like, this is the series of events that need to happen, you guys. And I'm getting better about it. But if my husband wanted to live in a high rise, I would be like, we could live in a high rise. You just have to pay a majority of the mortgage and it needs to be big. So that's my concession. And then they end up being split up because there is some drama with Chris. No, not Chris. Yeah, with Chris and Paige, girl. So we'll get back to that once we talk about Chris and Paige. Okay, so let's move on to Eric and Virginia. So they have an interesting little bit of business. He tries to come at her for wanting to look pretty for going to the water. And which I didn't understand why. I was like, she's on TV, bro. Like, if the girl wants to do her hair and put on makeup, I think that she's allowed to do so, especially because she's been looking like a wet dog for the majority of this time. So she does that while he kind of pokes at her. He keeps on bringing up the fact there's an age gap, making it seem like, you know, that's the answer for everything, but that's not necessarily the answer for everything. Also, his mom seems like the type of woman who wears makeup all the time. So I don't understand why he's like opposed to it. I don't know if he thought that she was going to be underneath the water swimming with the fishes, but they're on TV. So I don't, you know, he can come out. He just needs to make sure to put on some, what's that skin stuff that people have to put on? Sunscreen, you know, so that he doesn't fry like a lobster, because he looks like the type that fries like a lobster. Like, he doesn't tan, he just burns. So they go out to the pool area and she immediately wants a drink because they're in Vegas, and he's trying to be a little bit like, oh, you want a drink? And she's like, yeah, we're in Vegas. But here's honestly the truth. They're on their honeymoon and they're in Vegas. Like, I can't knock her for wanting to drink all the drinks right now. So I'm going to leave her alone for while they're in Vegas and her drinking. And they end up, they're laying on this really cool lounge, like little like chaise lounge that's on the ground. It's red. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. And then they end up getting into the water. And Eric starts to talk about his time away and how he's a pilot and what that means. And she is a little concerned about the fact that he's going to be gone so much. But she then says, you know, I do like to party. I like to hang out with my friends, you know. And he's like, well, is it mixed company? And she asks, you know, would it be okay if I hang out with guys, or what do you think about that? And he says, well, I don't really think that men and women can be friends. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, men are always thinking about having sex with women. And I'm like, but that doesn't have anything to do with the woman. So that is a weird patriarchal thing to say. Like, I know a lot of guys who feel that way, which I'm not saying that they're wrong, but the fact is that they're like, oh, you can't have a male friend because that male friend will most likely want to have sex with you. But I feel like, what's that got to do with me? What does that have to do with me? If he wants to have sex with me, that's on him. We're not going to. And so it's really weird to say that. And I know that there are men who believe that as well. Like I said, so I don't necessarily think that Eric is like the only person to think that, but I just thought it was odd that would be a reason to not have male friends, because they might be attracted to you. And so then he says that he wants her to understand that she's his wife, and that if there's any kind of infidelity, it's over. And she's like, but okay, yes, I get that, but it just felt like awkward. And then he talked about the two different types of jealousy. There's a healthy jealousy, and then there's like a crazy jealousy, but he's not a crazy jealousy, he's a healthy jealousy. And I'm just like, yeah, if you're around all the time, but like, you are not around all the time. So your insecurity about her hanging out with other men has nothing to do with her. It has everything to do with you and your lifestyle and the fact that you are a pilot. So I don't know what he thinks. Yeah, I don't quite understand. Like, I understand it, that people think that way, but I just think it's faulty. I think it's a faulty way of thinking about it. And so Virginia's not with it. She says the jealousy thing is a problem for her. But I think if I dated somebody briefly who said that, because I was like, who would have not been down with that, but he would have been around all the time. Like, he was one of those protective people who was like, around all the time, which it didn't bother me, because being somebody who was like, internally or, forever lonely, having somebody like really care if whether or not I got back to my apartment safely, having somebody walk me to and fro, this is when I was in New York City. I loved that feeling. And so we briefly talked about, like, if I were to become an actor and I had to do on-screen kissing, he was like, I wouldn't be down with that. And I was like, so you would really stop the money? because you didn't want me to kiss somebody. And he says, I don't necessarily know that I would stop the money, but I would be very upset. And I was like, oh, well, then you're just gonna have to deal with it. Like, you could be upset, that's fine, but you're not gonna stop the bag, because you don't want me kissing somebody else. Like, calm down, it'll be fine. And so yeah, it just seems like a weird thing to put on a woman to do, when it's actually your problem and it has nothing to do with her. So that was the only thing that was had a little issue for me with Eric. However, I mean, he made it up for me, like the next scene they had where they're eating dinner out by the water, and he says, she's talking about always having a career and being somebody who's in this relationship 50-50. And he's like, okay, that's great. I'm glad you said that. But just so that I've got you regardless of what you choose to do. And I was like, a man who planned for his future, his wife, his family, and has decided that he is going to be the breadwinner. Listen, my parents are 50-50. My dad is not the breadwinner. If my mom didn't work, we would be pobre. But so I don't necessarily think that anything is wrong with that, but the idea that there are men out there who choose careers because they think that they need to be able to pay or to support their family 100% is just so beautiful to me. I'm somebody who will always work, but like if I don't want to work or if I'm unhappy, like I would love it to have somebody who was A, happy in their job, and B, making a lot of money at the job that they're happy in so that I didn't have to work, as a choice. But it's the opposite too. Like I would want, if I'm the breadwinner, that's fine. As long as I'm happy in my breadwinning work. And if he wants to stay home and take care of the kids, cool. But the house better be clean. So anyways, let's see. So yeah, I think that they had a good conversation. He talks about how he's away 15 days a month. And she says that she's not going to say that it doesn't bother her, but she thinks from right now it might be okay. And I just don't think I would be okay with that. So to me, I just would be okay. I would be okay with that. Like half of the month doesn't sound too bad for me. But I guess it depends on how it's all broken up, right? If he says that he's going to be gone 2 nights a week. Like, okay, 3 nights a week, fine. I've slept this long by myself. I can continue to sleep by myself. Now, if I had kids, then that's where the family unit comes in. That's where the village comes in, right? To help you. But I don't necessarily know that I need that person there all the time. So to me, it doesn't seem like a bad gig, but to her, it might be an issue. So I wonder. Oh, one thing I wanted to say about Clara and Ryan is that he is talking about how he likes things particular in his house. And Clara is worried about the fact that he's going to be a little weird when she moves in, and that she wants him to understand that it's not his house, it's their house. And I think that's definitely going to be a hard thing for him to accept. I would have to, if it were me, if I were him, it's my house. Like, I put all this stuff in here. Now you've come into my house with your little dirty ways and you're being messy. Absolutely not. We're going to have to move out and buy a house together. Like, that's how it would have to be. Like, we would have to sell his house and then, whatever. I can't move in. No. We need to purchase a house together. So anyways, just a side note for that. So I worry about Virginia and Eric. I'm not investing in them. Like, honestly, I don't care if they stay together or they break up. Like, I think they honestly should break up because I don't think Virginia's ready for marriage. I don't know why she's on this show. She's not ready for marriage at all. Like, or her idea of marriage is something different. She should be marrying somebody who is on the same page as her when it comes to her lifestyle, because Eric is on a different page when it comes to talking about what he wants his wife to do. He has a very specific idea of what a wife is, and I don't think Virginia is that. So that's my 2 cents on them. So the last couple that we are going to talk about, we're saving the best for last, is Paige and Chris, y'all. So we start this episode with Chris like telling producers that he doesn't want to tell her. And we don't know where this is coming from. And the producer's like, you cannot keep this from her. That's crazy. What are you scared of? And he says, I'm not scared of anything. And it's like, no, you are scared, sir. What? I don't like people who are delusional. I hate that shit. Don't gaslight me. Don't be delusional. And don't ask me what's wrong when you know what's wrong. So, they're going back in time now, and the scene is him getting the news, being weird at breakfast, and Paige asking him what's wrong. And he's just like, I just got some, earth-shattering news, and but I don't want to talk about it. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm your wife. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it though. I'm not going to tell you. And she's like, so you're saying that you've gotten some earth-shattering personal news, and me, your wife, is sitting here, and, God has brought us together, and you don't want to tell me? And he's like, no. And then, so I'm just like, what? And then, before they even started eating, he just started eating food. Like, he started gobbling the food down, and she's like, we're not going to pray? And he's like, oh. And then he's like, thank you, God, for this meal. Amen. And so I'm just like, hold on. Listen, this is me now being really judgy for someone who's a church person. Because as a former church person, I believe that there's a certain way that you need to act, especially because you're looking for a God-fearing woman, and that your grandparents are pastors, and that at some point you used to be one or something. You were like under the tutelage of your pastor. You even had your own pastor come and officiate this wedding. And when it comes to praying over your meal, you don't even pray over your meal, you hypocrite. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. You need to get in there and pray like Ryan's parents. Heavenly Father, thank you for this blessing, the nourishment for my body. For we know without you, we would not have this food to put in our mouth. And I want to thank you, Lord, for the woman sitting across from me, for taking a chance on love. And we know that you have brought us together, and we trust in you, Lord. So please bless us. Bless this food. Amen. Give us something. Give us something. I mean, his whole I'm going to shut down behind is so annoying to me. You don't get to shut down, sir. No, you do not get to shut down. You do not get to decide that you don't want to tell her, and that's the end all and be all. Who the heck do you think you are? It's like you want to be this master of your own destiny. You want to be this head of household, but you do not have the skill to be so. You do not have the forthright to be so. You don't have the courage to be so. You don't have the integrity to be so. You are none of those things. Not one of those things. So, let me pause and say, hey guys, we're 29 minutes in. If you haven't liked this video, please go ahead and like this video. Give this video a thumbs up. And we have 49 likes when there's 221 people in this room. Girl, I'm not speaking again until we can get to 100 likes. 221 of y'all in this room, I need you to exit the chat. I need you to like this video. And if you are not signed into your account, I'm gonna need you to go and sign into your Google account, into your YouTube account, child, and like this video. 53 likes. Keep it coming. Y'all just disrespectful. Oh, and shout out to my moderator, Jessie Lee. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's a lot of work. But I thank you. Oh, Quasi's here too. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you guys for being here so much. 78 likes. We're almost there. Thumbs it up. Thumbs it up. Thumbs it up. I said thumbs it up. Thumbs it up. Thumbs it up. Lindsay is here. Thank you, Lindsay, so much for being here. All the monitors are in the room. Oh, Mickey just got here. 88. We're at 88. I'm gonna take a sip of water. 89. Here we go. 10 more. 10 more people, you guys. $95. Ooh, 5 more. Here we go. $96. 4 more. Here we go. Support this video. Support my channel. Ooh. Oh, people are leaving the room. You don't want a thumbs up? That's fine. You can go. All right. We're at 103 likes. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. I mean, if you haven't, still go ahead and like this video. Okay. 102 likes. Let's get back into it. All right. So he just doesn't have what it takes to be the leader of this household, to be the man of this Christian house. He doesn't have it at all. And I'm not interested in him. So she gets upset and she walks away. And then that's when the producers have that conversation with him about having to tell. And then she asks her producer what's going on. And her producer says, I cannot tell you. And so she's getting frustrated and she's at the elevator. She's about to bounce. Then he comes up to her and he says, you really want to know what's going on? And I'm just like, if this ninja don't stop acting like he can control this destiny and that he has control over this situation, you do not. So he pulls her into the bathroom, puts on the tub, puts on the shower, takes off the mic. Meanwhile, every producer knows what he's about to say. I don't understand why he does this, why he has these theatrics right now. He tells her, he comes out of the bathroom. We can see his pit stains. So I don't know if he was sweating in there, I don't know what happened. And he walks away from her. Now, I don't know if she told him to get out of her sight, but the fact that he walks away so that he doesn't have to take in her reaction and be there to support her in this pisses me off. You don't get to walk away, sir. Go back in that bathroom. So he walks away and I don't know where he goes. And then she comes out looking real shocked. She gets her outfit together and she puts her outfit on and she exits the room. And I know she got to go call her girls because she finds out that this Negro has a baby on the way. And this is like day 3 or day 2 or something. She already had to find out that he got his ex name tattooed over on her wedding day. Then the next day, she found out that he wasn't attracted to her after he had sex with her twice. Then the third day, he finds out that he's got a baby on the way. Not to mention his weird ass daddy. So it is just, I mean, she is taking the punches. She has gotten the short end of the stick. She has been made the fool of this season. The experts have let her down. And she then has a conversation with Brianna. And then they send Vincent over to have a conversation with him. And when Brianna finds out, she's like, what the, I know Brianna wanted to jump out of her skin and be like, nah, Paige, go home. But Brianna, is trying to be supportive and also a good castmate and whatnot. So she doesn't say all the things that she's thinking, but she skirts around these issues. And she's like, what would it be if the shoe was on the other foot? Would he stay with you? And we absolutely know not. If she were pregnant, 6 weeks pregnant with her ex-fiance's child, Chris would not stay at all. He wouldn't stay. In fact, I think that he should recuse himself from this process based on his behavior. Okay? The double standard is out of this world. And he is so busy feeling his own feelings that he is not feeling feelings for her either. And that's what pisses me off. You're the one who did wrong. You've got a lot going on. I get it. But you have played this woman and you've played this entire process. So Vincent, though, is over there like, Vincent's whole reaction could have been a little meme. Okay, it needs to be a jiffy. Because he's like, what? And then he asks him, 100% it could be yours. And he's like, yes. He's more open with Vincent about it. And Vincent is like, okay, well, you got to do what's right for you and Paige. You got to take care of Paige. And I understand you're going through a lot right now. He tells Vincent more about what's going on than he does Paige. Like, Paige doesn't know how far along she is. Paige doesn't know anything. So Paige had a good old conversation with Brianna about it. Brianna is over Chris, over him, as is every black woman in the United States, as is every black woman who watches this show. So they then weigh the pros and cons of this, and she's getting that good old conversation. I love the fact that we see her with her phone, so we know she's reaching out and talking to people that love and support her. Oh, okay, I got a super chat. Thank you so much. The super chat says, the fact that the producers wanted good TV on the back and pain of a black woman doesn't sit right with my soul. You know what? You're absolutely right. However, they've done it before with Mindy, and they did it with Katie. So they've done it before. And so at first I was like, look how they treating these, no, every season there is one woman who gets the short end of the stick. It's just ridiculous. Oh, Shannon the Van says every white woman too. Wow. Every person who watches this show is pissed off at Chris. Okay. So it's just, anyways, let's get back to these eyelashes. Brianna's got a lot of eyelashes going on, and so does poor Paige. She's missing a few, and I know it's because Mama's been crying. Okay. She's missing a few. They're all missing eyelashes. And at this point, I think that Haley and Virginia had got it right without getting these eyelashes. What they need to get is these magnetic eyelashes, which I wear, which is like great. You take them off, you put them on, you take them off. It's too much. And she knows how he has sex, right? Because I know she's been having sex with him, and we know they've been having unprotected sex. So she recognizes that the way he moves in the bed is the way he was moving in the bed with this other woman 6 weeks ago. Okay? And he supposedly broke up with her in May, but they still had relations 6 weeks ago because her father passed away. And so he was with her, and so they had sex, and that's when they got pregnant. The timing is so off on this. Do I believe she's only 6 weeks pregnant? No. And then Vincent's going to say that it's messed up, the fact that she didn't tell him sooner. But I'm like, you know what? She, A, may not have known she was pregnant. B, miscarriages happen and within the first couple weeks of being pregnant, so maybe she didn't want to tell him until she had gone to the doctor and was like 100% sure. But I guess the idea is that if she had told, I guess Vincent's mindset is that if she had told him 2 weeks ago that she was pregnant, he could have not gone through with the process of this wedding. However, based on what the producers were saying to him, I feel like Chris Ben had known. I feel like Chris knew before he got married that she was pregnant. And perhaps the phone call that he got was that she was choosing to keep the baby. So this is what I just really want to know. Magnetic eyelashes are great. They do stay well. Okay, so I use Glamnetic if you were at all interested. But I don't know if anyone will have sensitive eyes to it, so I don't know how it'll work for you. Okay, anyways, so get back to it. So, yeah, girl, I mean, just so much dramatics. So Brianna and Vincent know about the drama. Brianna does her very best to console Paige, and then they end up having a group date where they haven't seen each other, I think, since they flew over. And they're just basically talking about where they are. We see Haley leaning into Jacob, which is nice to see. We see, obviously Brianna and Vincent real close. We see Ryan and Clara. Ryan has his arm over on Clara, and Clara's kind of leaning into him. Virginia and Eric are late. And then we have our good friends, Paige and Chris. And so they ask who's been busy, and Brianna and Vincent talk about how they got busy the night after she was real supportive of him because he found out that his grandmother was in the hospital. His grandmother is doing well, by the way. It was just a scare. And then all couples are talking about how they've kind of, they're almost there, but they're just building a relationship and they're kind of building on the foundation. They're not, having sex yet, which we obviously know Haley and Jacob are not even close to it. I think they're barely kissing. Haley and Jacob end up having a good dinner where Haley finally opens up a bit, but I felt like she was a little drunk, so maybe that's why she was feeling so much more open to the situation. So then it comes out that Paige and Chris's drama have happened, and girl, Clara is pissed. Okay, they're all in support of Paige, and they're like, Paige, we support you. We love you, Paige. And Chris feels some kind of way about it. So he whispers in her ear and gets up and goes and has his me time. And he doesn't want to talk to anybody, especially, so she has to get up and go with him because she's sitting there awkwardly by herself looking beautiful in this hot pink jumpsuit. And she's like, well, what do you need me to do? Do you want me to, I forgot their scene together. Okay. Sorry, let's go back a little bit. So Chris and Paige have a scene together where they have dinner, and he basically tells her that he's putting her first, and the Bible says you put God, your wife, and then your kids first, and that he wants this thing to work. He's going to fight for her even if she walks away. And, she basically says that if this were the time where they had to make the choice, she would bounce. It's a lot, and there's been a lot happening for the first 3 days. And he says that he is attracted to her. He finds her beautiful, and he says all the right things. And she ends up feeling like, okay, God put us together for a reason. The reason why Paige is staying in this is because she believes that God has ordained this. And this is the toxicity that I find an issue with in the church. She brings up that, God doesn't give you more than you can bear. And I used to tell myself that all the time when I was crying in a corner, when I was feeling suicidal. I was like, God doesn't give you anything more than you can bear. God doesn't give you, I don't, listen, that mantra did not work for me. I don't think it works for most people. I think people make a lot of damaging and crazy behavior and decisions because they think they're being given something that they should be able to handle when maybe they can't handle. And your first instinct is to run. And sometimes you just need to run, sis. And this is one of those situations. And she says that she's already been in this situation before. In her last relationship, she was basically taking care of a stepchild, or she was a stepmom, and she got real close to this person, but the daughter always came first. And so you don't never know how Chris is going to react when this baby comes, especially if the baby is a boy, because he's sexist. So if this baby's a boy, he's going to be like, crazy. Also, when she asks him whether or not he's thinking about going with his ex-wife, he's like, well, of course, you want to, or his ex-girlfriend, of course you want this family unit. And so he's still kind of considering the fact that he wants to, sorry, that door slam, that he wants to, would want to create a family unit with Mercedes, which is his ex, and the baby. So it's just it's a lot going on. Chris needs to excuse himself from the process. And to me, his whole thing about God put us together and I see why, and my attraction is coming, and, I find you beautiful. I'm just this is all fake. Yesterday, you didn't find me beautiful, son. Why today? What? No. This is banana bangs. This is absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, she ends up eating that shit up and loving every moment of it. And then they go off and they have the group date or whatever. And that's when you could tell the body language between them has changed again, because you would think that, I don't expect her to be all on his lap, but he's not even leaning into her. He needs to be providing her comfort, and he's not providing her comfort. He's just too busy stressed out about his own behavior. And so he ends up, moving back to the group date now. He ends up walking away. She ends up following him, asking him if he's okay. What's he want to do? Does he still want to film? And he's like, well, I don't want to be around anybody right now, so you can choose to do whatever you want to do, but I don't want to hear anything. And he's like, I understand that at the same time, people want to support Paige, but I feel like people aren't supporting me and, and us in the marriage. I'm like, you don't deserve no support, you old trifling ass Negro. And so then he gets back to the group. Virginia and Eric show up, and Virginia and Eric kind of tip the balance because Virginia is like, are you sure it's yours? and that pisses him off, and then he feels like that's disrespectful to say, and I'm like, why do you think it's disrespectful, first of all, and like, why do you think you deserve respect? And then, you know, he's like, I don't know you. And then Eric is like, well, you need to put your wife first because she's wonderful, and you know, this is, you know, they're, you know, he's just trying to giving advice or whatever. Maybe they've had a little bit of drinky drinks in them, and Chris is not feeling this at all. And Paige says that she feels him getting like frustrated and upset with the fact that they're talking about it, and he's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And so they attempt to move on, but Eric still wants to talk about it. And so Eric kind of pushes it, which I am okay with him pushing it for. Like, Eric is a grown-ass man and he's gonna say whatever he feels. So I feel like I support Eric pushing Chris, because Chris deserves all the feet on his neck. He deserves all of the boots on his neck, and he just needs to learn how to take it. But he's got too much pride. He's got too much hubris. He thought that he was the catch in this situation, and it turns out that he's not the catch. He is the seaweed at the bottom of the sea. He is whatever it is that, you know, the roaches of the sea eat. You know what I'm saying? He's shrimp bait. He's catfish bait. He's like nothing. He's bloat. He's tea rash. He's trash juice. Okay? And he wants some kind of support, and he feels he's owed that kind of support. Man up. Ugh. Okay. Anyways, so I can tell it's going to be an explosive season. It sucks that it needs to be on Paige's back, but we support Paige 100%. And, you know, I can't wait for her to get rid of those eyelashes. So that is the end of this episode, y'all. I'm at 47 minutes. I was only supposed to be here for 30 minutes. I got to get ready and go to work. So, oh my God. Oh yeah. I see somebody putting here that his blessed hashtag. Oh my God. I hate it so much. You are not blessed. Ugh. So anyways, that is the end of them, you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me this early morning. Thank you so much for the thumbs ups. I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat, you guys. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to film next week. I'm having surgery tomorrow. If you are all interested in knowing about my surgery journey or my fibro journey, please go on ahead and go to my new channel. It's Wahima Lino. I just uploaded my pre-op story, so if you wanted more details about like what's going on in my pelvis, please check that video out. Give it some views, and thumbs up this video. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. All right, so I'm gonna go, and wish me luck, give me positive vibes and prayers, and I will see you guys next week maybe. For The Bachelor, I don't know, I don't like it enough to like, you know, go out of my way to do it. But I'll definitely watch this next week. I just don't know how I'm gonna feel next Wednesday. I don't know if I'm gonna still be like druggy or in pain. If I do it, it will be in this fashion where I'm not gonna show my face. But all right, you guys. So have a fantastic week, and remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. I just bowed my head. And now I'm smiling. Bye.